So in today's remote control, we take an affectionate look back at one of the most popular shows in maritime sports history, Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling. Now, Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling did a tour of the Maritimes every year, sometimes in the summer, sometimes into the fall, and often touching the winter months. They featured a lot of hometown wrestlers, mostly with the same set of brothers that were affiliated with a promotion that Emile Dupre had taken over years before. Emile Dupre, the father of World Wrestling Federation former tag team champion Randy Dupre, was the cornerstone of getting wrestling into the Maritimes. Now, Bobby Kay, Leo Burke, Stephen Pettipaw, Bad News Brown, No Class, Bobby Bass, all these great character wrestlers, especially Leo Burke. He was considered the Bret Hart of the Maritimes. Well, when the Federation really got big, they had some heavy hitters, no pun intended. Killer Carl Krupp, who I became friends with when he was driving, of all things, tractor trailer throughout the province, told me that when he was in the Federation, he felt the most at home because the amount of talent and affection that the wrestlers had for each other and had for the people they were wrestling for. Even though Killer Carl Krupp was hated by the wrestling fans, he brought a great style to the ring with his fake German persona, and he told me being Dutch was his way of getting back at the Nazis that almost destroyed his country decades before. But we remember best because the brothers Savage, Leapin' Lanny and the genius Lanny, the Jesus Lanny Popo, and Randy Macho Man Savage were the two key championship figures in Atlantic Grand Prix during its golden era in the late 70s, early 80s. Now, they had an ongoing feud in the Fed with Lanny being the face and Randy obviously being the heel. But what made Grand Prix Wrestling so great is that their Saturday afternoon show drew so many viewers that literally the Maritimes would stop for an hour every Saturday as soon as that distinctive theme song would hit. And the legacy of Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, if anything, has grown over the years because with all the new documentaries coming out on former Atlantic Grand Prix wrestler Ric Flair, Sweet Daddy Siki, other affiliated ones, Harley Race would show up every once in a while, Ricky Martel when he was AWA champion. Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling was our own hometown federation, even though it went to places in PI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. It was the federation, bigger than NWA, bigger than AWA, bigger than WWE, because back then the word of factor, Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, was the top show in town. Now, if you have a chance, go on YouTube. There are many Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling's videos featuring the different incarnations. But we all remember, in my home region, the infamous Beldoon Arena. The incident when the infamous Cuban assassin was chased around a ring by certain people from Beldoon who felt themselves they were tougher than the Cuban. And let me tell you something, it may have been fake, but to the fans, the Cuban and Killer Carl Krupp and Randy Savage and No Class, Bobby Bass, all the heels were not fake. But it's a time long past, but I don't see any other hometown federation that had such a connection with the region because, again, Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling was our own. So if you're Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling fan, there's also various Facebook appreciation sites for Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling. But I must tell you, when I became a journalist, Killer Carl Krupp was one of my mentors, and he basically told me straight out, he said, Jeffrey, to be a wrestler, you have to get over. But he said, as a journalist, you must get over as well. So I'm dedicating this podcast to my old pal, Killer Carl Krupp, or KKK, as he liked me to call him. I do miss him, but I miss the era that he was successful in, and the era that helped build me as a journalist covering wrestling, because wrestling is part of my forte over the years as a journalist, and later on with AWE and Prescal as a GM and a ring guy, not saying announcer, but presenter. Anyway, I hope this finds you well this December morning. Weather hasn't been good in New Brunswick the last couple of days, so as we say in the North Shore, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.